It's time for Speaking of Speaking. Quick tips and tools to take you from stage fright to spotlight. This podcast gives you an inside look from the world of public speaking and speaking secrets you need to be bold from the stage, no matter what business you're in. The host of Speaking, Carl Richards.
Welcome to another edition of Speaking. Coming up today, how to get more speaking gigs, where to get more speaking gigs, and, well, how to get out on more stages in general. Coming up on some future podcasts, we're going to give you a couple of quirky little features, one of which is, I can't believe I saw that on social media. That should be fun. There are a lot of interesting things that get posted on social media. Some of them are business related. Some of them are promotion or marketing or speaking related. So I'll definitely have some fun with that. And also tales from the world of speaking. I was going to put tales from the World Wide Web, but I figured, you know what? Some of the articles or some of the things that I discover about speaking, they aren't necessarily online. Some of them are from talking to other speakers or other thought leaders. So we'll definitely be sharing those in the coming weeks, coming days to come. Today I wanted to talk about how to go about getting more speaking gigs. I think it was on a Facebook Live video about a year ago that I had a colleague ask, how do you go out get more speaking gigs? What's the magic of doing that? Well, there really is no magic. It's just really about having an idea of some of the places you can go. The first thing that you have to do, though, before going out and getting more speaking engagements is you have to make a conscious decision that you want to speak more. So you have to make the decision, you have to decide that you want to go out and speak more. And I think that's a decision that some people have a hard time making. Because the best way to do it is to sit down with a calendar and figure out how many times in the year do you want to be speaking. Is it twice a year? Is it every quarter? Is it once a month? Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? Once you've figured out how many times a year you want to speak and you've broken it down and worked it backwards, then you can figure out some of those places you can go and speak and really start putting it out there. But it starts with deciding, firstly, that you want to speak more, because let's be honest, some people don't feel they do want to speak more. Some people feel that speaking a few times a year in their networking group or in other settings. I have a colleague who speaks a couple of times a year at large events in the Toronto area, and she feels that that's all she needs to do aside from regular networking, and that's fine. But making the decision that you want to speak more and how many times in that year, in that quarter, in that month, in that week that you want to speak will help make it easier for you to decide where to go out and speaking. And here's the thing. Once you decide that you want to speak more, and it's more than just a few times a year, speak wherever you can. Speak wherever you can. Even if it's free speaking, because the more times you speak, the more people get to know you, the more people get to understand your level of professionalism and who you are in business and what services you provide. So anytime you can do that, by all means, do it. Here are some ideas, though, of things you can do, places you can go and speak more. Number one is service clubs. Every community has either a Lions Club or an Optimist Club or a Rotary Club. Some communities have all of them. Some communities have several chapters of Lions, Optimists, Rotary. United Way even is a great organization that is always looking for speakers. So find out when they meet in your community and ask if you can take 10 minutes or 15 minutes of their program just to share with their membership about what it is that you do. You don't have to do a huge sales pitch. Just get out there and share your story a little bit. Number two is your local Chamber of Commerce. I live in Eastern Ontario in a small town called Gananoque. We have a local chamber, but there are several other chambers of commerce around us, and I've spoken at a number of them. How about business and networking groups? That's another great way to connect with other people. So aside from the Chamber of Commerce, how many other business groups or networking groups are in your community? And if you don't know, ask around. You can ask on social media. You can also ask other business colleagues. Just ask them, say, where do you go out and network? Where do you network in your community? And it really is helpful if you're new to that community to ask, where can you go out and meet more people for business? 9 times out of 10, a lot of those networking groups, especially if they are BNI type groups, I know where I am in Eastern Ontario, in Kingston, there are a number of networking groups I'm connected with, and all of them are always looking for speakers on a fairly regular basis. And I speak at them at least once, sometimes twice a year. There are also several speaking events, from Mo Mondays, which stands for Motivational Mondays, to TEDx events. Those are great platforms. Now, some of them you have to apply to. Mo Mondays, I know you have to apply to. TEDx, you have to apply to. Some of them you don't have to apply. Some of them will come to you and ask you to be a speaker. But Mo Mondays, I believe there are 14 Mo Mondays chapters across Canada. I don't know if there are any in the U.S. yet. I know there were for a period of time, but there are definitely opportunities in Canada to speak at Mo Mondays. TEDx events happen all over Canada and the U.S. TED Talks happen, of course, across the world. So depending on what level of speaking you are at, you can be speaking at a TED or a TEDx event or a TEDMU event. You can also compete. There are a couple of speaking platforms that open up for competition, one of which in the Toronto area is Speaker Slam. That's one where people get on stage and flex their muscles as a competitive speaker. Another great way to speak is to host your own events. I host my own events 3 times a year. I am also the MC at a number of events throughout the year. By the way, MC is the next one on my list. But if you host your own events, by default, you are speaking. So it doesn't matter whether it's a workshop, whether it's a full-day event. One of the events I hold every year, it's a full-day event. It's actually a 2-day event for the speakers in one of my programs. But that event, I speak at it. I invite other people to speak at the event as well and sponsor the event. As I mentioned, emceeing events. I have emceed a number of events. I MC business events. I MC corporate events. I MC charitable events. Anytime you can MC, it's giving you the opportunity to not only practice your speaking, but to get in front of a different audience. How about this? Offering to speak at events like trade shows or conferences or banquets or AGMs. All of those events I mentioned, trade shows, conferences, banquets, AGMs, typically they all require an MC. So why not put your name out there and say, hey, I'd love to MC your event. You might not get paid to MC. Chances are you'll probably get a free meal or free entrance to the event, but it'll definitely give you the opportunity to act as the MC. The other thing you can do, if you aren't already doing this, is become a community radio broadcaster. I've spent a number of years as a professional radio broadcaster. There are a number of community radio stations all around the world, many different types, from music-based shows and music-based stations to some that are information-based. So there are definitely opportunities, though, to practice your speaking and also get out there and showcase who you are. And of course, the other thing you can do is take a speaking program that has a speaking component at the end of it. I offer a program twice a year called Be Bold from the Stage. One of the features of that program is I offer participants the opportunity to get on stage at the end and practice what they've been working on for the last 12 weeks. So a program like that is beneficial because not only do you get to practice speaking by getting on stage, but you also get to network with other people and you get to showcase what it is that you do. So if you'd like more information about that program, by the way, drop me an email, askcarl@carlspeaks.ca. I'd be more than happy to send you information about the next program offering and whether or not it's a good fit for you. But it's a great way to, as I said, get your speaking chops honed, but then also showcase what it is that you do and who you are in the world of speaking. So I hope that has been helpful. Again, just to recap, great places where you can go and get paid or unpaid speaking gigs, service clubs and organizations like the Lions, Optimist, Rotary, even the United Way, chambers of commerce, business and networking groups, speaking events like Mo Mondays and TEDx. You can compete at events like Speaker Slam. You can host your own events, workshops and seminars, MC events, offer to speak at events, trade shows, conferences, banquets, or AGMs, community radio stations. Take a speaking program that has a speaking component at the end of it as well. The other thing you can do to really put yourself out there is, why not try hosting a podcast? That's a great way to showcase yourself as an expert and as a speaker. And as a matter of fact, we'll have podcasting secrets on one of these podcasts down the line as well. Until next time, it's Carl Richards. Have fun in that elusive world of professional speaking and own the platform.
Thanks for listening to the Speaking of Speaking podcast. Fired up about something you heard today? Want to learn more? Be sure to visit carlspeaks.ca. And don't forget to follow Carl on Twitter @CarlRichards72 or join the Facebook group Speaking of Speaking.